It's Anthony with BBSN, and just a quick update. Starting with Game 5 of the 1978 World Series, using the prototype of Glory Days Baseball, I'm going to be using the redesigned cards. So prior to resuming that playthrough, just wanted to give a preview and go over the changes on the cards. The main one is in the result indicator column, and I've gone back to designating the location of the hit. In the previous version, again, the purpose to get the results as much as possible on the batter pitcher's card versus having to look up charts. And in the previous version, we had the result and then a location of the hit on the bottom of the batter's card. So what I've done is kind of incorporate that all into a single column on the result chart. So looking at Mickey Rivers' card, you'll see G1 and ground out to pitcher, and then you'll see two numbers after that. What these numbers represent on ground outs is whether or not double play, fielder's choice, or the batter is out and the runner advances. So we'll look at G6, a ground out to shortstop on a roll of 1 to 12 on the 1D20. That would be a double play. 13 to 17, which are the numbers in between 12 and 18, would be a fielder's choice. And then 18 and above would be batter out and runners advance one base. So that basically speeds up the game. In testing, it shaves 5-6 minutes off a game. If it's a game with a lot of offense, potentially even longer. So that was the purpose, and the end goal was to get this game down to 35 to 40 minutes to play a 9-inning game. And the games under the old format were taking 40 to 45 minutes and a little bit more on games with a lot of offense. So been pleased with that result so far. On hits, same thing. And single to center field, 7 and 11 in parentheses after that. This represents advancement when there is a runner on second base. So in this case, a single to center field, 1 to 7, runner would advance one base. 8 to 10, one base, and coach's choice to advance a second base, which would be used using the outfielder's arm and the runner's run rating to determine a safe out call on a roll of 1D10. And then 11 plus, runner would automatically advance two bases. And then the only adjustment, the only thing that had to be added beyond that is obviously on singles. If there is a runner on first base, going first to third would be adjusted slightly. So if that's the case, you just check down here. 1 to 14, it would be a one base advance if on a single to left, single to center. 1 to 8 would be one base, 9 to 11, coach's choice, and 12 plus two base advance. And single to right, 1 to 6 would be a one base advance, 7 to 9, one base with coach's choice, and 10 plus would be an automatic two base advance. And in addition to that, on the coach's choice opportunities, if you do try and take that extra base when it's to left field, going first to third on a single, it would be -1 from the runner's rating, again to highlight the shorter throw. And if you were going first to third, coach's choice on a hit to right field, it would be +1 to the runner's rating, again simulating the greater distance for the outfield throw there. So that's really the only time you have to take your eyes off of these numbers here to check runner advancement, and again that's on first to third on a single. Doubles, same thing. 1 to 6 on a double center field, for example, would be an automatic two base advance. 7 to 9, coach's choice for a three base advance, 10 plus three base advance for the runners. And then flyouts. These numbers here represent the sacrifice fly rating for a runner on third base. So fly ball to left field or fly ball to right field, 1 to 7 would be a shallow fly ball, runner would hold. 8 and 9 would be coach's choice to try and score, and 10 plus runner on third would score a deeper fly ball. Center fielder ratings are a little bit different. 1 to 6 would be runner holds, and 7 and 8 coach's choice. 9 plus runner would score on from third base, if less than 2 outs, of course. And then if you're trying to advance a runner from second to third on a fly ball, you simply revert to the same adjustments you would use from going from first to third on a single to right. So that worked out nicely, the exact same modifiers. So that's the big change in the results on the card. And I'm just going to go through every section of the card again, just to bring everyone up to speed, since again there's been a couple of changes to the prototype as this game is evolving and being developed. So starting with the pitcher's card, the modifiers versus left-handed batters. Burt Hooton has a contact modifier of -2, which would adjust the batter's contact rating versus a right or left-handed pitcher. And that again determines whose card you read for the result. Against left-handed batters, no adjustment to walks, a +3 to their strikeout range, which is here on the batter's card. Versus right-handed batters, no adjustment again to walks, which is here, and +1 to the strikeout range on the batter's card. The other ratings for the pitchers, 31 would be how many batters this pitcher could face before he tires. And when a pitcher tires or loses his stuff, and you lose your stuff, in this case, if Hooton gives up 5 runs or more during an outing, regardless of how many batters he's faced, he would lose his stuff. So when that happens, basically you add 3 to the contact modifier. So this would become a +1/+1 versus righties and lefties. You add 3 to the walks. So that would become a +3/+3 to the walk range for the batters. And you deduct 3 from the strikeouts. So this would be no modifier for Ks, and that would be a -2 to the strikeout range for right-handed batters. So in this case, if Rivers was a right-handed batter, his strikeout range versus Hooton would now be 30 to 32. Other ratings, injury. If an injury occurs on the event chart, 1d10 roll, 2 or less, the player would be injured in this case. The ability to lay down a successful bunt on a 1d10 roll again. Hit and run, success on a hit and run, 1d10. The batter efficiency, so he would use the pitcher's hitting card D. Relief rating, and here Hooton did not appear in relief, so he has no ratings for fatigue or loss of stuff. Run rating, and again this is on runner advancement, a roll of 1d10, 6 or less you would be safe. And the steal ratings, the jump rating, which is modified by the pitcher's hold rating, which is down here, and the steal rating, and Hooton is 0-0 in both of those. We'll talk more about that on Rivers' card. Defensive ratings, range ratings. So if you have a range play come up, a roll of 0 to 4 on the 1d10 is a successful range rate check. 5 and above is unsuccessful. And error rating, and if an error check comes up on a defensive play, 0 to 4 would be an error, 5 or above would not be an error. Wild pitch ratings, which comes off the pitcher's card. With runners on base, Hooton did not uncork very many wild pitches, so only 1 to 2 on a 1d20 roll there. He did not issue any balks. His hold rating is 0. And the F8 F8++ rating. This would be the pitcher's susceptibility to home runs on a normally deep fly ball that would result in an out, and we'll talk about that as I go to Rivers' card. And then in terms of the results itself, when the contact rating on the 1d20 is above the adjusted batter's range, you read the result, the contact result off the pitcher's card. And you can see on here, again, these cards are weighted. So if you get contact on a batter's card, you're much more likely to have a successful hit result versus a pitcher's card. And on the pitcher's card, these are all outs except there's a range for singles, a range for doubles, a range for deep balls that the pitcher gives up due to a grooved pitch, and hit by pitch, additional hit by pitch if the pitcher is more prone to do that than, say, the batter would normally be to get hit. And then, of course, the wild result. So here on Hooten's card, on a result off of his card, it would be a single for a left-handed batter on 18 to 27 and 25 to 35 for a right-handed batter. He actually is a little better on contact average against lefties. In both cases, one chance for a double and one chance for a deep ball. And one additional thing to add here, the numbers in parentheses apply the same: double play chances, runner advance second to home, and then of course first to third you use the adjusted ratings here. Pop-ups, and again here, depending on right or left, if it's a left-handed batter, pop-up 3 on this range, pop-up to the third baseman for a right-handed batter, same with shortstop second. And the line drives, on a line drive result, which only occurs on the pitcher's card, a roll on the 1D20 or of 20 on any line drive result would result in a double play, lead runner doubled off if there were runners on base. So that's basically it on the pitcher's card. The batter's card, again, their unadjusted contact result versus lefty and righty. Against Hooten, Rivers would be 1 to 10 and would be adjusted to 1 to 8 due to Hooten's contact modifier when he was fresh. Range for walks prior to, or when determining if there's contact, range for strikeouts, hit by pitch. 90 to 95 would be a defensive check, so whatever the result was after that, you would also check for an error or range play, and that would come off either the pitcher or batter's card. And then park adjustment check. And then the batter's ratings: injury, bunt, hit and run, run, and jump and steal ratings. And we'll talk a little bit more about this. So if Rivers was on and wanted to steal, his jump rating would not be modified, as Hooten is a 0. So he would be 0 to 5 on the 1D20 for a successful jump. And then his steal rating, if he got a successful jump, it would be 0 to 7 on the 1D20 to be safe, and he did not get a successful jump, it would be 0 to 5. And these would be adjusted by the catcher's arm rating. And as an example, Steve Yeager for the Dodgers is a -1. So if Hooten's on the mound and Yeager's catching, Rivers decides to steal, he would get a jump on a roll of 0 to 5 on the black 1D10, and would be safe on either 6 or 4, adjusted -1, remember, from Yeager's arm rating. So we'll just do a steal attempt. It would look like this. So 5 to get a jump and 6 or 4 to be safe. 1, he gets the jump, and 0, he is safe, as both are within the respective ranges. Simple as that. And then defensively, again, range checks, arm adjustment for runners trying to advance an extra base on coach's choice play. And then, of course, the hit results, which we talked about already. The only thing I want to touch on further there is the F8++. So in this situation, if Rivers facing Hooten rolled a 97 to 99, that would be a long, deep fly ball to the gap in center. And the ++ means runners on both second and third would advance if less than 2 outs. What you then do after that is go to Hooten's card and see if he has an adjustment, which he does against left-handed batters, of 1. Against right, he does not. So if that roll was a 98 and on the 1D20 you rolled a 1, instead of a long fly ball, all runners on second and third advancing with less than 2 outs, that would become a home run because Hooten would have theoretically grooved that, and Rivers would have just been able to get a little bit more on it and put it out of the park. So that's how that rating works. And then also the general home run ratings. And I'll use somebody who has an adjustment, Ron Guidry. So for Guidry, Guidry's not going to give up a home run on a long fly ball result off the batter's card, and will in fact take away a home run on a result off of either his card versus righties or off the batter's card themselves. So on left-handed batters, a roll of 1 to 2 on the 1d20 would take away a home run on a deep ball. And against righties, a roll of 1 on the 1d20 would take away a home run on a deep ball. So that's how the home run interaction comes into play. So again, just an overview of the cards, highlighting the changes, but also going over the cards in a little bit more detail for those who may just be watching this video, haven't seen the other previous tutorials. So let's go ahead and do a couple of sample of bats, and then when we get back and play the resume the 1978 World Series later, we'll just pick up and play. So we'll just start as if the Yankees were up and at the beginning of the game, first inning. So Hooten, and again we'll go through this tutorial style very slowly so you can see how the new interaction comes into play, and do a couple of scenarios as well. So nobody on. You will first roll all 3 dice, 80. What you're looking for there is on the batter's card versus a right-handed pitcher. And again, as you get into the flow of this, it really does go quick. You know that 30 plus adjustments are going to be potential strikeouts, and 0 to up to usually 10 to 12 is the highest you'll see on a batter's card, plus any adjustments would be walks. 80, never going to be a walk. Nobody's strikeout range is going to be adjusted that high. I think Nolan Ryan is probably the biggest adjuster in 1978, and I think he was a plus 21 to strikeouts against righties, so even he wouldn't hit that threshold there. And I think against lefties maybe plus 16. So if Ryan was on the mound, or we'll put Guidry on the mound. So Guidry versus left-handers is a plus 11 to the strikeout range. So Rivers, left-handed batter, his strikeout range would now be 30 to 46 on the initial roll. So 80 is obviously well above that. You're never going to get a strikeout on that. So you next check the contact rating versus the 1d20. And again, we know anything in the teens is pretty much always going to be on the pitcher's card. I know automatically to check Hooten's card, but to walk you through it, you would check Rivers' adjusted contact rating, 1 to 10, minus 2 for Hooten's rating versus right-handed batter, so 1 to 8 contact. So 14. Above that, you would then make your second roll to resolve the at-bat on Hooten's card. 0-2 versus a left-hander, and that is going to be a ground ball back to Hooten himself, and no runners on base, so that resolves the play. If there was a runner on base, a roll of 8 on the 1d20 if there was a double play situation. That is, of course, in between 1 and 11, so that would have been a double play. So 1 out. Next batter up, Roy White. And White's a switch hitter, so he's hitting left-handed versus the right-hander Hooten. 59, and not going to be a strikeout. And 1, that will be within, regardless of adjustment. The adjustment here would be 1 to 7. But obviously 1 is always going to be off the batter's card. So you would then roll to resolve the play. On Roy White's card, check the versus righty column. And 6, and that is going to be a single into left field. And 11, if there had been runners on base, it would have been coach's choice to try and score from second, or if there was a runner on first, 14 or less, they would have stayed on second base station to station. So that's simple, that quick. And again, in terms of these runner advancement numbers, you can tailor these to the player, which is what I've done. And I'll just compare Mickey Rivers to Cliff Johnson here. So Rivers, if you see on a G4, is a double play on a roll of 1 to 12 on a 1d20 if there's a double play situation. Cliff Johnson, who's a little bit slower, is a 1 to 14 double play on a ground ball to second base. So that's how you tailor runners' speed into play and get the double play adjustments. Overall, the middle infielders turn double plays usually on average between 64 and 66% of the opportunities that they get, which is what's reflected. The pitcher's card is always going to be the same. That's the base chance. So that's what's reflected on these cards. And then on the batter's card, when the result comes off that, it's adjusted by their proficiency at avoiding double plays or the fact that they ground into a lot of them. So Roy White is on first base. And we will go ahead and try a steal. We'll leave him there even if he's out. So again, jump is 0 to 3, and Hooten's hold rating does not adjust that. Yeager, -1 arm behind the plate. So 8, he does not get a jump, so that would be a successful steal of 0 to 4, normally 0 to 5, but again, Yeager adjusts it -1. 0, he is able to get in there under the tag, so despite getting a poor jump, he is safe on the stolen base. But we'll leave him at first base for Thurman Munson. So 1 down, Roy White is on first, and 68, and again, that will be contact, and that's going to come off Hooten's card. We know that against right-handers, 1 to 10. Average hitter is either 1 to 9, 1 to 10, or 1 to 11. You'll occasionally get, like Munson is 1 to 12 against left-handers. That is good contact against that side. So it's going to come off of Hooten's card. Our contact result, and the Dodgers are looking for a double play, 28 versus the right-hander, and instead that falls within the single range. So that is a single to center field, and 6 is less than 8, so single and runners advance 1 base. So we now have runners on first and second for Mr. October, Reggie Jackson, 1 down. And again, this is just kind of, this video is serving not only for the changes to the card, but an updated tutorial. 15, and that is a potential walk. Reggie Jackson normally is 1 to 13. I'm sorry, 0 to 9, my bad, against right-handers. Hooten does not adjust that, so no walk, and that will be contact off of Jackson's card. Jackson strikes out a lot, which is why his contact result is higher to compensate for the number of outs he's going to make on strikeouts. So contact will come off of Jackson's card versus the right-hander, and 38. That is going to be a single pulled into right field. That's another thing I failed to mention. These ranges, normal hitters will distribute the ball a little bit more evenly, favoring, of course, their pull side. Jackson is a pull hitter, so he has a much greater range of hits, and just using singles as an example. Only 3 opportunities to go opposite field single. Everything else is center, and the overwhelming majority is right to right field. So that is a single to right field, and 18 is above 12, so all runners will advance 2 bases automatically. So White comes in to score, and Munson ends up on third base. A run for the Yankees. And still 1 down for Greg Nettles. And Nettles, another left-hander, 48. Now Nettles, that would have been a strikeout against Jackson. Nettles is going to avoid that as Hooten modifies that by 3, so 30 to 39. 48's good. 1 is off of Nettles' card. And 77, and that is going to be a potentially deep drive. Instead, it is a long drive into right field. And 8 is in between the 7 and 10, so meaning Munson on third base can attempt to score going off of his run rating and the pitcher's arm rate, or the fielder's arm rating, I'm sorry. So Munson, he is a 6, and playing right field for the Dodgers would be Reggie Smith, and Reggie Smith has an arm of 0. So in that case, if you wanted to try and get a run home on the sac fly, coach's choice, 0 to 6 on the 1D10, and Munson is safe. So 2 runs in, and Jackson's still on first, 2 outs. Let's do this next check. We'll say it's on Hooten's card. And roll of 91. So 91, contact would be off Hooten's card, and it would be a defensive check as the play is resolved. And we'll just say this is going to be a ground ball down to second base. So we will set the roll up for that. G4 versus a right-hander would be 36 to 44. So we will go 40. And the 1D20 is a 3. That would be a range check. So we have the defensive chart that we would then check, and you would make a second roll to determine if Davey Lopes is able to get to that. And Lopes' range, you can see here at second base, is 0 to 6. He had good range. So you roll the 1D10 and 0. He gets to that and makes the play to first base, and Piniella is retired. So other things will come up, but again, just wanted to kind of redo the tutorial with the new card design and play through step by step, so that maybe people who are new to this, or people who have been following the World Series, didn't have to go back and look at the tutorials to put it all together again. Again, it's fairly straightforward, fairly intuitive, and with most of the results coming off the cards. And that's the result, or the intention, I'm sorry, of both this game and Glory Days Boxing, which of course is much closer to release than the baseball game is. And we're actually going to have a Marciano-Dempsey rematch for the heavyweight title in Glory Days Boxing probably tomorrow on that, as we're going to do a baseball game today later. So that's it. Update to the Glory Days baseball cards, and another extra tutorial going step by step through a half an inning. So thanks for watching this, and look for the baseball game later on. Until next time, keep swinging or rolling for the fences. We'll see you.